Sin City. Saturday night. Fight night. Any given weekend, this place is the entertainment capital of the world. When combat sports shines brightest on the Las Vegas Strip. Boxing and mixed martial arts need some new voices. And Franchise Sports Media got them for you. Join Kalani Lua and Griff and Kemp each week as they bring you news and hot takes from inside the octagon and the ring. Get your popcorn ready. It's showtime. FSM's main event starts right now.
What's going on, fight fans? Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the main event right here on Franchise Sports Media. I'm Kalani Lua.
I'm the Griffin Camp.
Griff, we were in Beantown. Well, we weren't in Beantown, but the UFC.
Spirit. Yes.
Yeah, in spirit
we were there.
We were there. UFC 292 went down. The main event saw and new UFC Bantamweight champion Sugar Sean O'Malley. I believe someone on the show called it. So, brother, the flow is yours.
Man, just back-to-back weeks for the chef. I just keep dishing them out. I can't tell you how I do it. It just gets done. All right? Oh, my goodness. They called him a Conor McGregor wannabe. They called him a paper champ, or a wannabe paper champ. They called him Dana White privilege. And yet, after it just took 2 simple rounds, not even the full second, for Sugar Sean O'Malley to stamp his name in the history books of the UFC, to stamp his name in the history books of MMA. That boy came in there. He came out, walked out to Lupe Fiasco's, Superstar? He called his shot in the walkout. This is beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful. Sugar, we live in a world today, ladies and gentlemen, where Sugar Sean O'Malley is a UFC champion. Some people thought they'd never see the day. Others, we knew we were going to be here all along. Loved it. Congrats to Sugar Sean O'Malley. Aljamain Sterling as well. Hell of a time, hell of a career at Bantamweight, which might not be over yet. But either way, it was a beautiful run.
Hey, man. I posted a picture of me and O'Malley years ago when I ran into him at the casino.
You did.
When we were on the show, I picked Aljamain Sterling. I did. I was wrong. But it's not like I was picking him because I don't like Sugar Sean O'Malley. That's for other fighters. Kobe Covington. But Sugar Sean O'Malley went out there. And look, when the Dana White privilege was asked to Dana White afterwards, and he was like, well, that's not a real thing. It is. We've seen it time and time again, dating back to a certain Mohawk light heavyweight named Chuck Liddell. But guess what? In a sense, right, we see this, you know this from playing football at a high level, we see that when you're one of the star players, regardless of your position, coaches treat you a little bit differently. Dallas Cowboys Hall of Fame coach Jimmy Johnson told a great story, and other players have confirmed it, when he had a player who was a backup fall asleep in a film session. Yeah. And so did Troy Aikman. The backup got cut, yelled at. He chewed his ass out, cut him from the team. And then he looks over at Troy and says, hey, Troy, wake up. That's what it is. That's what it is.
That's how it
Sugar
goes.
Sean O'Malley gets that because he delivers. He goes out. He is a star. Did you hear the crowd's roar once he won, when he was out there being announced as a champion? Listen, whatever he has, I don't know what it is. Again, Griff, you know I'm a professional wrestling fan. Some wrestlers just have it. Well, right. I don't know what it is. When they come through those curtains, who's that? Some superstars, some fighters, some NBA people have it, right? People feel how they feel about LeBron, but regardless of how you feel, if you never heard anything about him and you just watched the game with him playing, chances are you're going to say, who's that? Because he just has something that draws you to him. That's what Sugar Sean O'Malley has. Whether it's the hair, different colors, the way he carries himself, the walk, the tattoos, his way of fighting. When you saw those guys go at it, you look like Aljamain Sterling wanted to start off with kicks early on. Keep the distance, get him faking with the kicks, shoot in for some shots. What he didn't anticipate, and Sugar Sean O'Malley talked about it afterwards, was how fast and quick O'Malley can move. Oh, yeah. I believe it was the midway through the first when Sterling tried to do a spin kick when O'Malley was against the cage. By the time he turned around, where's Waldo? Where'd he go? He was gone.
He was out.
When you, in watching the fight, clearly it didn't take long and it wasn't much. Was this more so Sugar Sean O'Malley is just a better fighter? Or did Sterling not have the proper game plan?
I didn't like his game plan watching it. We only had a round in 20 seconds
About
of
45
watching,
seconds,
about 45
yeah.
seconds watching that fight. I didn't like it. That's not your game. You're Aljamain, the backpack specialist Sterling. You have the most ground control time in the history of the bantamweight division. Why are you not instantly trying to get those takedowns? And I understand you got to set it up. You got to find the moments. You can't just rush in there. And especially with Sugar Sean O'Malley with his crazy kicks and his knees and his fast reaction time, that's dangerous. But it's just you don't fight that game. Even if you have minimal respect, absolutely zero respect for Sugar Sean O'Malley's game or himself as a fighter, you still got to respect the fact the man has absolute dynamite in those hands. He has shown it. And I'll give you this. A lot of people who doubted Sugar Sean, I'll give them this, they had plenty of reason to. Because up until about his fight with Petr Yan, he really didn't beat anybody. He wasn't beating world beaters. He wasn't beating the people that we all consider as dominant, real contenders. But, you should have known from those fights, though, no matter how dangerous your opponent is, how much you respect them, no matter what their game is and what they're good at, unless you are really just that dominant of a champion, you're just that dominant. Even Khabib said himself when he fought Conor, he said, I worried about his left hand. I knew I could beat him, but I was still worried about that left hand. So if I'm out, for Aljamain Sterling, I personally would have liked to see him, see the fight go to a point where they actually do end up on the ground and see how Sugar Sean reacted, see how he defended any of the takedowns, got back on the ground or got back up on his feet after being taken down. But, unfortunate for the Funkmaster. Sugar Sean O'Malley had his way. That fight stayed on the feet for the majority of the time. And it's unfortunate to see.
It is.
For some people.
It is. As O'Malley stated in the post-fight interview, he had hurt one of his ribs, and he couldn't grapple for the last, week or two leading into the matchup. So he pretty much knew, I can't get taken down. Would have been interesting, like you said, if Funkmaster would have took him down, how would he have been able to handle that? Now you got the pressure and the pain of the rib. Is it like the Tyron Woodley versus Kobe Covington, where in just a weird position on the ground, he ends up having a tap just because it's so much pain? We don't know. It's interesting that you brought up Khabib versus Conor, because in a sense, you almost should say that could have been the game plan Sterling used. The first 2 rounds, you're going to grapple him right out the gate. Remember, Khabib, as soon as he comes out, I'm shooting for the takedown.
It was instant.
And he wears Conor down the first 2 rounds, gets him tired, as he did most of his fighters. Then in the 3rd round, you try to stand up with him. You get your gauge. He's tired expecting his takedown, so his hands start to get low. Now, that's when Conor had his best round against Khabib. But generally, when fighting Khabib, that's what he likes to do. First 2 rounds, a round and a half, I'm going to grapple with you. I'm going to get you tired. Then I'm going to try to stand up and bang with you. Same thing he did to Michael Johnson. So had Sterling came out and did the same thing, would have been interesting to see, would it have been different? Credit to Sean O'Malley. Anytime Sterling did try to go for the takedown, he was stuffing it. He wouldn't allow it to happen. He was moving around. What I was a bit surprised was he was throwing kicks, but he wasn't throwing leg kicks as much. And that's why I thought, as stated, O'Malley's speed and quickness, well, you got to neutralize that. Come right out. I'm throwing 3, 4 calf kicks right away. Inside, out. Because I gotta get that knee to swell up quick, and I got to control your movement. Now, if I control your movement, you become more of a stationary target. Now it allows me to, if I want to stand up with you, now you can't explode as often with that right hand. Now I can throw those kicks. Now I can throw my punches. But at the end of the day, like you said, Griff, it was less than 6 minutes? Not a big sample size.
No.
So it was hard to really judge what adjustments Sterling could have made going forward. Nonetheless, great run. Apparently he wants the rematch. Rightfully so.
Yeah.
We'll get into that in just a moment.
Yep.
But, excuse me, or he just goes on and takes on at 145. Maybe he doesn't get Volkanovski right away, but he's got to work his way up. Funkmaster against Max Holloway.
That one.
We'll talk about that just a little bit later. But in wrapping this part up for the main event as we get to the co-main event as well, where do you go next with Sugar Sean O'Malley? He's the champ. He's a major star. Where do you go? I kind of heard something this morning on maybe what Sugar may want. What say you, Griff? What do you think is next?
When you were talking there about Aljamain and not how he didn't really utilize the leg kicks as much, I thought back to, if I was in Aljamain Sterling's training camp, I would have said, let's pull up the tape of the only loss Sugar Sean O'Malley has ever had in the UFC, which is against one Chito Vera. Marlon Chito Vera. He got him with that ankle kick, and that ultimately led to him getting that victory over O'Malley. And honestly, I can't think of a better matchup for O'Malley. it's got to be him and Cheeto. I would love nothing more than him and Cheeto. All right, Cheeto got a win. He's coming off a win. He had that little upset. He had that little bump of the road with Corey Sandhagen, but now he gets redemption. It leads up perfectly because, especially for Sugar Sean, who is let's not say try. He's officially the megastar of the UFC, soon to be the face of the corporation very shortly. I think that if you're him and you're in his camp, you're telling him, let's erase the blemishes. Let's get rid. Anything anybody can hold against us now. It used to be you never fought anybody in the top 10, or you never had a title shot. Now that he's wiped those out, erase the one loss you have. Go get Marlon Chito Vera. Redeem that loss that you had. He didn't claim the loss because he said it's a pre-injury, with the ankle and everything. But you know what? It don't matter. Get in there, get it done. Chito, Sugar Sean. And speaking of that, also a little side note, there was a little messaging back and forth on social media where one O'Malley was talking to one Conor McGregor, a possible card featuring both of them in December.
Griff.
It's possible.
Griff. You already said your piece.
That's my piece. That's my piece.
Griff.
I'm done. I'm done.
Your piece.
Cheeto O'Malley. That's all I'm going to say.
I asked you what was next. You could have went down any path you wanted to. You went the Marlon route, which is fine. Stay in your lane.
It's just
stay in your lane, Griff. Hold on. Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. Because I had my blinker on already. You saw my blinker was on. So don't sit here and try to switch over to my lane when you saw my blinker on already. You wasn't thinking about going in my lane. Because I was going to mention that maybe in December there might be a certain, if you guys are saying I'm trying to be a wannabe like him, well, how about me and him just end up on the card? O'Malley suggesting that in December, if Conor truly is coming back, we don't know.
I don't know.
What about Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler, co-main event? Sean O'Malley in the main event. Who's he's against? I don't know, and I'll get to that in just a second. That would be something. One, would Conor want to be a main event? Would Dana White want to put him in the main event? As we talked about, you got two big stars here. Do you want to put two of your mega stars on the same card? I don't know. We've had John Jones and Conor on the same card, but that was during Conor's rise when he beat Dustin Poirier at 45. So he wasn't Conor McGregor. I don't, and unfortunately, we didn't even get Jones on that particular card anyways, but they were scheduled to be on there.
Yeah.
Maltodorf and Amanda Nunes and Demetrius Johnson was on that card as well. That card was stacked. I believe it was nasty. 172 or 179. It was one of those, but I was supposed to go to that. But I was at the MGM when him and DC got into it. Bam, got video of me and John Jones on the stage together. Bam, okay, that's I blocked DC shoe when they came and almost hit Harry Fame. Bang, that's it. Okay, that's enough. But in all seriousness, I think that would be dynamite. We know the UFC has certain pay-per-views. They like to make a big splash. Their New York card, International Fight Week over the summer. They like to do one around March, April. That's a big one as well. January, they like to do one. And then December, to end it all off with a bang, they like to put on big cards if possible. What bigger way to do it than to have Conor McGregor and Sugar Sean O'Malley on the same card? I think, one, it'll be a fantastic one. If you do that, if you do Sugar and you do Conor, T-Mobile's all nice and everything, but if we just look on down the road there's a little Death Star stadium that hasn't had a professional bout there yet.
That is true.
I know the UFC has a contract with T-Mobile Arena. All I'm saying is things might be able to work out. Maybe you wait on that. You hope that Sugar can go ahead and keep winning. Maybe you wait on that if you're UFC. You manipulate the contract, say, hey, buddy, let us put on one fight card over here. What are you doing? But that would be something.
It'd be a beautiful, beautiful setting for that card. I love what you're saying. The only, I think the UFC, when it comes to making a card like that, first of all, they owe us. They owe us that kind of card at the end of the year in December after the absolute stink fest we got last year in December with a tie in the main event between Ankalaev and Jan Blachowicz.
That was tough.
That was a nasty
but that
card.
Fell apart.
That card fell apart.
The card initially was stacked. It fell apart.
It did fall apart.
What can you do about that?
You can't do much. You're right, but at the same time, let's give the fans what we deserve. We're loyal. We buy our pay-per-views. We don't illegally stream. All right, Dana. We ain't part of that nasty little group.
Not at all.
No, absolutely not. We deserve to see that type of card. The only question would be who's the co and who's the main?
Conor.
Conor would be the main. Conor would be the main.
Conor would be the co.
I understand that.
doesn't have
I
a
understand. Title comes above everything.
Yes.
But it's Conor McGregor.
Co-main event.
When has Conor gone since? I think it was he entering the UFC. He was on the the lower levels of the fight cards. I don't think he's ever been anything but a main event since he shot up to stardom. He's never even been in a co-main event in his entire. I think throughout his entire time through the UFC. I might be off on that.
No.
But
Ever since he became the big name.
He's always main
events, even at International Fight Week when he won the interim featherweight title against Chad Mendes.
That was main
Robbie
event.
Lawler and Roy McDonald, who were 170, were the co-main event.
Right.
So the idea that the bigger weight class is the main event all the time is not true.
That is true. That is true. I think there's a lot of good options. I love that pitch from the card in December. I think real quick though, I kind of want to go over what's next for Aljamain. I think we got to dive in a little bit. What's next for the Funk Master?
Well, I mean, like I said, he's got his rematch clause that he could possibly go ahead and say, yeah, I want to exercise my rematch clause. He already said, hey, 2024, let's do it again. Maybe he makes the proper adjustments, doesn't get overwhelmed from the moment. Because like Dana White says about fighters who want to retire, when you got 1 foot in, 1 foot out, just
basically,
leave.
yeah.
And I think with Aljamain Sterling, as much as he wanted to beat Sean O'Malley, he had his eyes so much set on leaving, going to 145, taking on Volkanovski, going for champ status, moving up. And I just think that particular moment and focus took his full undivided attention away from this. Going into it, yes, we know Sean O'Malley can hit. But at the same time, it was a lot of questions. Like you said, he hasn't really beaten a lot of top-tier guys outside of Petr Yan, and that's after Aljamain beat him. So Aljamain's not impressed by that. He lost to Marlon Chico Vera. Okay, yes, he beat Thomas Almeida, but ever since Thomas Almeida got knocked out by Cody Garbrandt, he hasn't been the same Thomas Almeida. So it's one of those where you're like, okay, this guy's good, he's a hype train, but he's not. I'm gonna expose him. I'm gonna show that he's not real. But he went out there and he failed at that. So I think the rematch is the only sensible thing for him at 135, or he moves up to 145.
I think I understand where he's coming from, especially what he said afterwards, where he said, if Sugar Sean did that to me, what do you think? Like, I got to be realistic about what Volkanovski would do to me. And listen, Volkanovski he's not just the champion. He's not just the featherweight champion. He is arguably the best fighter in the UFC today. It's arguable. And I think for him, Aljamain going into this fight, it wasn't like he was contemplating retirement. He was just contemplating a move up. Yeah. And I think for him, still stick with the plan, man. I mean, stick with the plan. I think, honestly, it's going to take you as long to get to Volkanovski as it will to get back into a rematch with Sean O'Malley. I think you have to have 1 or 2 really good fights, and then you're right there in title contention at either division. If I'm Aljamain, I'd tell him, you had this dominant run. You had it. You broke almost every single record that means anything to anybody. Just move up, because if you move up to featherweight, there's so many options.
Of course, it's a brand new division, new matchup, sure, but you got to think, why not run it back with Sugar Sean O'Malley? It'll be one of the biggest rematches that the UFC can produce. It'll be a highly anticipated bout. You're not necessarily going to be back in Boston, basically O'Malley's backyard. We know he's from Montana.
Boston, so, yeah, that was an away game for Aljamain.
It really was, but it is what it is. It's like that. We've seen guys went on the road as well. Yep. But why not run it back with Sugar Sean O'Malley? It's not like he can't make 135. He makes it. It's tougher as you get older, sure. But one more go around in 45. Look, if he loses, then move up to 45.
Well, I mean, maybe the weight cuts played a little bit of a part, because we know he's always been very vocal about how hard and stressful that weight cut is on him.
It's a lot.
Maybe that kind of contributed to that loss, contributed to him. Maybe not. That was. I'll tell you, that was the absolute sloppiest I've seen Aljamain Sterling.
It looked like he was trying to rush things and was trying to hurry up and get out of there.
Almost fight. He was trying to fight O'Malley's game and fighting his own game. So I think for Aljamain, I would love to see him go Max Holloway next. I'm going to say Max Holloway next. Love to see it. Move that up. Let's get it going.
Well, Max Holloway has to get past the Korean Zombie this weekend in Singapore, so that has to come first. But Singapore. There are plenty. Yeah, it's going to be at 8 o'clock in the morning, East Coast time, which is 5 o'clock here.
5 a.m.?
5 a.m., buddy.
Plus one, I'll do it for you. I'll set my timer.
Buddy, it's also college football time. I got to watch my college game day. I got to get my popcorn ready. Got to get my wings ready. It's football.
It's football. We got to get a little football.
But before we jump ahead to that, in the co-main event, we had women's strawweight champion Zhang Weili go out there and dominate Amanda Lemos. You did say she ain't losing somebody with the last name Lemos. Hey, look, Amanda is a tough son of a gun. This just goes to show how badass Wayne Zaylee is. Again, outside of Rose Namajunas,
Thug Rose.
She's proven to be dominant. What's next for Wayne Zaylee?
I want Rose.
Rose is moving up. Rose is moving up.
Oh, my goodness.
Rose is moving up.
Honestly, if it ain't Rose, I don't know. I don't know anybody. Looking at the division, who do you see that you're like, yeah, that's her. That's her right there. Wei Lee's worst nightmare right there. Set it up.
It's hard to go that particular route with that much confidence because, again, as good as Rose Namajunas was, did we really say that she was going to be the nightmare for Joanna Jędrzejczyk? Were we really thinking that? When Wayne Zaylee became champion and Rose took her on, were we really saying that was going to be Wayne Zaylee's kryptonite? You never know. Carlos Esparza went up there and won. You just don't know. And look, as we've said with the men's and at times with the women's division, look at the women's flyweight division. Valentina Shevchenko running through everyone. There's nobody out there. Oh, then comes along an upset victory. It happens.
It does happen.
It happens. While you're the long-reigning champion, guess what everyone else is doing? Training to beat you. Just like Cody Garbrandt when he fought Dominic Cruz. He already went to 17 different fight camps for Team Alpha Male to get ready for Dominic. So for him, it's like, bro, I've seen this style for 14 years already. So I'm prepared for it. It may not be in her next bout. But Wayne Zaylee, I mean, with Rose moving up, at some point, does Wayne Zaylee try to move up? Does she try to move up to 130? That would be something to see, but she is a dominant force. It was awesome to see her go out there and get that particular win. What was also awesome on that card, I don't mean to cut you off, but we got a new Ultimate Fighter winner.
Yes.
Bantamweight division, Brad Katona defeats Cody Gibson in a terrific bout between these two, but he won by decision. Also, in the lightweight division, Kurt Holobaugh defeated Austin Herbert. But Kurt and Brad are the new Ultimate Fighter winners. Honestly, all four might end up in the UFC at some point. The losers might get a chance to show what they can do out there as well. But seeing the Ultimate Fighter, and that was one of the best finale matches we've seen. Yes. What were your thoughts about Katona and Gibson?
Both really good fighters. They both look really promising. Katona, I think it's his second. He's the first ever two-time Ultimate Fighter champion. First time, double champ. Hey, let's go. Fighting for your coach, the double champ, the original double champ. I love that Connor went on social media right after that, and he claimed the victory as the winning coach of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, or of Tough. He said because Katana won, despite Katana starting on Michael Chandler's team, and then because he just kept losing, guys had to switch. He also won the coaches. He also claimed the coaches challenge as a win, saying it was 2-1, and ultimately claiming that victory for himself. Classic Connor, classic, love it. But yeah, paper champion. It was good. It was a really interesting season. I think not what a lot of people expected. But I think a lot of that has to go into the relationship and the overall personalities of both Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler. It was a big tease for them ultimately fighting soon. And, congrats. Happy to see what happens next season.
We'll see what happens for these fighters going forward. And if somebody decides to sign the dotted line,
I believe you.
Decide to step back into the cage.
I believe in you, Connor.
American monk waiting to knock his block off. He led you thought sitting in an ice bath for 3 days made you a winner? Nah, buddy. I got these fisticuffs here waiting for you. Let's go, Chandler. Sorry.
I like the way you say block. I like the way you say block right there. That was nice. Can you say it one more time? Do it one more time again? Block. I love that.
I've been working on that because switching over to the ring, the square circle, we got your boy from across the pond, Tommy Fury. There's only one
Tommy Fury.
He is taking on KSI. Okay, I'm not really sure who KSI is. I know he's a YouTuber. I'm not familiar with his work.
I believe from the UK.
He is from the UK. That's all I know. He's from Watford, England. And you got Manchester, England, Tommy Fury, TNT versus The Nightmare. Now, they don't meet till October, so we'll dive more into it when it gets closer. But they did have a press conference. John Fury, the dad of Tommy and Tyson Fury, knocking over the tables, get into it. There was a scuffle, melee. Logan Paul supposed to take on Dillion Danis. He threw something at him, had a birthday cake of Dillion Danis being laid out. Then we found out that Mike Perry, Platinum Mike Perry, another son of a bitch, but he's supposed to be the backup in case Dillion Danis, the jiu-jitsu expert, doesn't show up for his boxing debut. I just want to know, Griff, do you have any interest in any of this?
To an extent. I'm interested because it's the absolute most nasty troll spectacle. we're seeing right now in this new realm of boxing. Michael Chandler said it on his podcast, I believe, sometime this last week. He was talking about this, and I loved what he said when he said, "This is just a debacle. There's no actual skill or talent, I would say, outside of Tommy Fury on that stage. Tommy Fury is the only person who really can have any type of, respect in the realm of boxing. Whereas you have Logan Paul and Dillion Danis. Dillion Danis, again, a jiu-jitsu specialist. He's a great jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, when it comes to grappling, he's awesome.
He's amazing. But boxing, and then you got Logan Paul, who recently came out and said that he, was this big old beef with Jake Paul, saying he was the better boxer despite having lost to a YouTuber and gone 8 rounds with Floyd Mayweather. Like, it's just...
I mean, he got knocked out in those 8 rounds. Floyd held him up and kept him going. But yeah, keep going.
It's just ridiculous. It's really gross. And especially with the way you see how Dillion Danis and Logan Paul have been kind of going at each other on social media. Dillion Danis posting a lot of really inappropriate pictures of Logan Paul's fiance. I don't know the girl too well, but regardless of who she is, you don't post that type of stuff about a woman. You don't talk, it doesn't matter who her fiance is. It doesn't matter if you have an appointed, there's beef with this guy. You don't come at a woman like that. And it's really it's ugly, and it's ugly to see. And it kind of really makes you really respect and appreciate Jake Paul and all he's doing. I know I've given him his lumps, and I've criticized Jake Paul in the past, but I got to give it to him. It's what he's doing is respectful. What he's doing is respectable. He's going out and he's actually training the sport. He's learning. He's getting better. He's fighting real competition. And then you got his brother coming over from WWE, who's just trying to make the ugliest spectacle possible and just trying to act the part. It's sad. It's disrespectful to his little brother for him to claim that he's the better boxer. He's this, he's that. Ugh, it's nasty. I hope Tommy Fury does knock out KSI, though. I love me some Tommy Fury since his win over Jake.
I have zero interest in any of this.
Zero interest at all?
I do not care about any of this. All 5 opponents who are in this, because Mike Perry, I have zero interest in this. I literally just saw it because it was on social media and it just popped up in my timeline. And, okay, we got a combat show, got to mention it. I have zero interest. When Jake Paul took on Nate Diaz, interested. When Jake Paul took on Tommy Fury, interested. I didn't see any of his other fights. As far as seeing them live. I saw them afterwards, social media, you see that. But I didn't watch when he fought Nate Robinson, Tyron Woodley both times, Ben Askren, Anderson Silva. Didn't watch any of it. Logan Paul against Mayweather and any other YouTuber, KSI. I'm not even familiar with his work. No interest whatsoever. None was. Platinum Mike Perry, I believe he's in bare knuckle fighting. Now, he's won his fights over there. Good for him. But I don't care about that racist donk. I don't care. I'm 2% this and that. So I don't care about that ignorant son of a bitch. That's fair. I could care less about any of this going on. If it was Logan versus Tommy, some interest there. Because that's the brother trying to get revenge for his brother. Tommy Fury trying to go out there and show, hey, I'm better than all this. Even though I'm only 9-0 in boxing, which in the world of boxing, you might as well be 0-0 in the world of the UFC. Right. You're still very young in your career. That's true. Tommy Fury is the only respectable boxer up there. But I'm just being honest, Griff. Outside of this show, zero, nilch. If there was a negative, I would even go there and say negative 72. I don't care about any of this.
Well, let me pitch you something. All right, and your points there are very valid. I completely understand. I will. Now imagine all of this going on right now, and this, I'm bringing this up because of what was discussed between Jake Paul and Nate Diaz after their fight. What if this entire card was not a boxing match, but it was an MMA fight? All these contenders, all these guys were entering into the octagon, and they were going to do the wrestling, the grappling, the jiu-jitsu, the boxing, the kickboxing. They were going to do all that. Would you have any more interest in it?
None whatsoever. Thank you for your time. Goodbye.
None of it. None at all.
None.
You wouldn't want to see what Dillion Danis could do to Logan Paul in the ring when it comes to all the rules under the UFC MMA banners.
What's that sleepy dog?
Snoopy? I don't blame you. I don't blame you for not being interested. I don't
get this facial expression.
Just no interest at all. Not getting out of bed for that one.
No, because again, I don't care anything about Dillion Danis either. Yeah, he's a respectable grappler, but again, he's just another dum-dum who has hugged the nuts of Conor McGregor to get his name out there. Ooh. He literally hasn't had a fight in like 22 years. Yeah, I don't know the last time he even competed. Because you know why? Well, if Conor doesn't compete, then there's no need for me to go out there. Like, okay, dude, it's cool. You're in Bellator. You're trying to go out there and fight. But then he doesn't want to fight. That's why they have a backup in there. Did you hear about a backup for KSI in case he gets injured? Nah. Backup for Logan? Backup for Tom? No. Dillion is the only one people question. Why? Because he literally comes off as the guy in the back seat trying to holler at the girl when he's not the driver. He ain't even the front seat passenger. He in the back seat, sitting in the middle. Oh, excuse me, bro. Excuse me. Hey. No. I have no interest in this whatsoever. For Logan, I would be mildly interested depending on who he's taking on because he's shown in WWE he is athletic.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's got an athletic background.
Tommy Fury, as he progresses throughout his boxing career, there's going to be some matchups I want to watch. But this guy, KSI and Dillion Danis, you can tell me they were going to do a tag team match against Freddie and Jason. We'll now watch. I have zero interest in it. People will watch, and kudos to them for it. I just don't have any interest in it. You're not going to sell me on it. But, again, we'll dive more into this particular matchup and the fiasco and the circus that's around it as we get close. I believe they fight October 14th?
Something like that.
Yeah, so we got plenty of time to get into it as well. I just want to bring it up because the press conference was very recent. But it is what it is in that particular regard. This weekend, Saturday, it's college football. But if you wake up early enough, it is in Singapore. Max Bless Holloway, the Korean Zombie. Who do you have? Zombie, Holloway.
Oh, Zombie. Zombie has been a beautiful staple in the UFC's history. You can't talk about the history of the UFC without bringing out the Korean Zombie, but you absolutely can't even mention the word UFC without saying Max Blessed Holloway, all right? Holloway's going to get another dub. He's going to just keep racking them up until he's either going to see Volk again or he sees that title again. It's going to happen. Max Holloway gets it done. Let's go.
I'm rooting for Max Holloway. I am picking Max Holloway. He ain't never going to see Volkanovski again. There's only one way he's going to be able to fight Volkanovski again, is if they happen to be at lightweight. Oh. And Max moved up there and had a 27-fight win streak. That he lost 3 times to one fighter. The last time, looked like Max should have retired 4 fights previously. It was not a good look. Yeah. You're not going to get that. Just like how you lost it when I said, well, he's lost twice to Dustin Poirier. Why would Poirier want to fight him a 3rd time when he has other options out there? Yes, Max Holloway is awesome, and I'm picking him to beat Korean Zombie. He's one of, if not the greatest featherweight fighter of all time. If you want to go champion, well, that's a different topic. But if you just want to say fighter, yeah, he's probably it, or at least 1B. He's not getting another chance at Volkanovski. No. He'll beat Korean Zombie again. Maybe he takes on Aljamain Sterling next. If Sterling comes up to 145, I'm dead serious. I would love it if Max let's say he wins this. I would love it if he waited almost a full year, come back next year as a lightweight, put the weight on properly, put the muscle on properly, come back at 155, make your run up there. We've seen time and time again from Kobe Covington to Conor McGregor to Dustin Poirier to other fighters, moving up and being a little bit smaller in your division can be a little bit to your benefit if you have the skill set, speed, and heart. We know Max has all of it. Go to 155 and try your luck up there.
100% agree. I hope this is one of his last fights at featherweight. I'm sorry, Max Holloway does not belong in purgatory. He is a fighter who needs to always have the opportunity to fight for gold. And I think that, like you said, that's only going to come if he moves up.
Or Volkanovski probably moves up. Either way, those two are never going to step in the ring game. But that is the show once again. Thank you guys for tuning in to another edition of the main event right here on Franchise Sports Media. This is
Griff and Camp.
I'm Kalani Lua. Thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe for all your love of sports. Till next time, fight fans.
Peace.